Patience, sorry for the wait. Welcome to the July 8th, 2021 meeting of the City of Miami City Commission in these historic chambers. Procedures for the public comment will be explained by the City Attorney shortly. Procedures for the swearing in of parties for the planning and zoning and or quasi-judicial items will be explained by the City Clerk. The members of the City Commission appearing for this meeting are Alex Diaz de la Portilla, Joe Carollo, Manolo Reyes, Jeffrey Watson, and me, Ken Russell, your chair. Also appearing are City Manager Art Noriega, City Attorney Victoria Mendez, and City Clerk Todd Hannon. The meeting will be opened with a prayer by Commissioner Reyes, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Mr. Chair,
Morning.
I just want to say, Commissioner, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
also, after the roll forward, pause for a moment of silence for the assassinated president of Haiti.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a horrible homicide. We pray that the culprits be apprehended, and we send his family, and the Haitian nation our condolences. It felt real bad when I heard it. And I would like everybody to say a prayer. It does. Times that we are living, we had over 2 weeks of constantly watching and expecting and hoping to find survivors in that terrible tragedy that occurred in Surfside. And I want everybody to say a prayer for all the first responders. They deserve our gratitude and also our admiration. We really are proud of them, proud of what they're doing, every single first responder. And particularly our firefighters. You see, City of Miami firefighters, that they have been present 24/7. And we had one of our members, firefighter, lost his child. He lost his little girl, and he was there trying to find her, and finally they found her. And I can imagine being a father, the pain that gentleman went through. So let's pray to the Lord for her soul and for our firefighter to find and try to find peace. And I wish every one of you to pray for all of us. So bow your head and please pray. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know that we have a preacher here that I will never be a preacher because I don't have as easy, the words doesn't come that easy as come to you. But please, pray with your congregation. And I know that you are going to a meeting where they're going to be, it's a meeting of people of the Lord. And I am requesting that you please pray for Miami and pray for all of us and pray for all those people that have lost families. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please turn for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Watching things unfold in Haiti is such a reminder to us that violence is never the solution for a transition of power. We have parallels to that in our own country. And so we wish peace and democracy for the country of Haiti, yes, and to the 400,000 Haitians who live in the state of Florida. we are here and we support you. This commission passed a resolution 3 years ago requesting that the then President of the United States extend TPS for Haitians as it was running out. And I'm very thankful to President Joe Biden for doing exactly that with his administration this year. You have a home here until you have a home there. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
before I forget it, I have a directive here for the city manager.
You're
that
recognized.
I would like to read, and it has to do with events that occurred at Surfside, and I want to make sure it doesn't happen in our city. So I'm giving the city manager directive to have a full evaluation and review of the city's 40-year building recertification process, both in the administrative and technical aspects of it, and have a report to the city commission within 30 days of any deficiencies and any recommendation or changes that should be implemented. And I'm doing this because I have heard and I noticed that sometimes the inspections are made and they find fault, but there are no follow-ups, see? And I would like to have a process established that once that any faults or any problems are found, that action is going to be taken. We have to do whatever is possible to avoid that event occurs again. Okay. Got that, Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir. We're already working on something.
Okay,
So we'll be-
thank you very much.
Mr. Manager, Commissioner Corolla, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, what type of buildings are you looking into in the city?
So right now, the initial letter, I guess, really that went out was, they both went out? Okay. Ace, then give them the update on.
Good morning. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ace Marrero, Building Director. Commissioner, we concentrated on all threshold buildings in the city of Miami, and we did it in 2 stages. The first stage was all buildings 6 stories or higher, 40 years or older. There's 125 buildings in that category. All of those were mailed out and as well hand-delivered to each building. The second phase was the remaining of all of the buildings in the city of Miami that were considered threshold buildings in the category of 3 stories to 5 stories. There were over 900 buildings in that category that meet that threshold and are also 40 years or older. Those were also mailed out and delivered.
And that's precisely what I had talked to the manager about last week, the buildings between 3 and 5 stories, that, as you stated, we have a much greater amount, 900 versus, I think, 145.
Over 900 and then 125 precisely on the 6 stories and higher.
And these that are between 3 and 5 stories are even, in my mind, even more dangerous because they're much older than any of the other taller buildings. And this is where I'm getting a tremendous amount of calls from renters that are very nervous, very concerned in what they're finding. And obviously, if you're in a 3rd story or you're in a 2nd story, if a building collapses, you know, you could as easily be hurt or died as in a taller building. So I'm concerned on those in particular. We need to move as quickly as we can on them, even if it requires that you bring in additional people to be hired and help. If that's the case, please come to us. And I'm sure every member of this body would be happy to approve some additional funding. Now, what I'm also concerned is, and this goes from what I've seen in some cases in the city, that we have had cases of old buildings like this, that even with former unsafe structure directors, shutting them down, giving them unsafe structure qualifications or what have you, that somehow, in some cases, their CUs were never taken away. How can that be if a structure is shut down, is declared a safe structure, can they still have a CU to operate?
So, Commissioner, I want to address that directly. We had a new ordinance that was passed last year that clearly outlined that all buildings that are in violation of Chapter 10, inclusive of 4050 recertifications, are at risk of losing their certificate of use. And effectively, actually February of 2021, the building department doubled down on all the unsafe structures cases that are handled on a monthly basis. And we dedicated one specific panel just to hear 4050 recertifications that were in non-compliance. So that these individual buildings had a one last chance order from the unsafe structures panel to come into compliance. We've been doing so at a rate of approximately 120 cases per month since February, and we're in the process recently to double down on that number as well.
But can you educate me in the process? And I, granted, understand this is before you came on board in the last year or so. If a building has been declared an unsafe structure, can it be open to operate for activities? Even if it has a CU that hasn't been revoked for whatever reason?
So let me give some background on the 4050 recertification process. I think that's going to be adequate in putting this process in perspective. Every calendar year, a building that meets the 40-year or the 50 and 10-year intervals date will be automatically sent a notification on January of that particular calendar year, giving them notice that their building has now been flagged for recertification, being the first time, 40-year, or subsequent ones for 50, 60, and so on. That notification letter essentially provides a time frame for them to come into compliance. That compliance date is May 30th of that calendar year. So they have, from the date they received that notification to May 30th, to submit a letter to the City of Miami stating what are the conditions of their buildings. Some cases you obtain a full recertification letter by the inspectors, the architects, the engineers doing that recertification process. In other cases, you get a list of deficiencies. And what it's outlined in the process is the time frame for them to come back and remedy all of those deficiencies. Unfortunately, some buildings don't do those things in a timely manner, and they become delinquent. And the mechanism that's in place to deal with that is to send them to the unsafe structures panel so that they are given a final order to comply. And if they do not, they obviously become at risk of losing their certificate of use.
Okay, but you still haven't answered my question. Even though I appreciate the process that
Yes,
you
sir.
have now. Maybe you don't want to.
No,
You don't want to step in quicksand and answer the question. You might know more than I do, certainly from your position. My question again is very clear: yes or no. If building has been declared, you've had inspectors go in shut it down because and posted unsafe structure on it. Even though you would expect that the CU would be taken away, but let's say that for whatever reason, they're special people, and in the past, nobody wanted to mess with them. They looked the other way, they stuck their hand in the sand, they had a drink with them, and, you know, be merry, be happy, let's play Barney. So if they were shut down as an unsafe structure, even if they still have an active CU, can they have any type of activity in that building, such as rooming house, people to be able to rent units, pool parties, barbecues inside, house parties, whatever? Can they have any activity inside?
I think the question, as I understand it, Commissioner, is if there is a violation issued for noncompliance with 4050 recertification.
Unsafe structure.
Unsafe structures in general.
Could be more than that. They might have to comply with that, but as you know, there could be a lot of things that would have happened
Right.
that would make it
So
unsafe.
we are not shy. I can tell you right now that we are not shy at all, certainly under my purview, to shut down any facility that it's unsafe. In fact, we did
I'm
that.
not questioning your time here. I'm talking about before you got here, sir. So I'm talking about before you got here. So this got nothing to do with your.
So when I got to this post, I came to this post in an acting position back in February of 2020. And I can tell you that during the first assessment that I did of the building department, the one section that we outlined with the administration for additional positions back then was the unsafe structures division. It had one inspector for the entire city of Miami. And we were able.
One?
Yes.
One inspector?
One inspector. So we added 2 inspectors per district because that was obviously a deficiency that was identified since day one. We added those positions in fiscal year 2021, and most of them have been filled, which allowed us to not only be able to concentrate on all of those cases, but also double down on the amount of workloads that we do refer to the unsafe structures panel. We were able to double down on those as well. So we are able to tackle the amount of deficiencies that we have on the 4050, especially and essentially cases.
However, I have to go back because, you know, I don't want to be impolite to you. I think you've been a very good building director in the time you've been here, but you're not answering my question. You know, if I'm not being specific enough or explaining it well, maybe some of my colleagues can help me. What I'm trying to ascertain is if a building was issued unsafe structure citation where they were shut down, even if the CU wasn't revoked, can they still have been cited with a case number as unsafe structure? Can they still have normal activities inside that building?
I think I'm misunderstanding the question. So let me. Are you implying that because they get issued a 4050 recertification?
No, I'm not talking about certification.
No, violation for not recertifying the building.
I'm talking about if any building received an unsafe structure because they were found to have done repairs, changes, what have you, to that structure, that our inspector felt that it was unsafe as a structure, even though the city might not have taken the CU away, would they be allowed to have had
The answer is yes.
any activities?
The answer is yes.
Okay, yes.
The answer is yes. If we're to find any buildings that are considered unsafe, okay, not unsafe, because I want to make sure that it's crystal clear that if you're in violation of the 4050 recertification process itself.
I'm not talking the 4050.
No, I understand, Commissioner, but that in and of itself
Can I
also assigns you a violation of unsafe structures. So the fact that you're in noncompliance automatically gives you a violation of unsafe structures, but for being in non-compliance with the 4050 recertification process. Above and beyond that, if we find a building that has any deficiencies that are put at risk any life or safety,
Right.
we would not hesitate in shutting that building down.
Okay, but I have found buildings that were shut down. However,
They still continue to operate.
nothing ever happened for years, and those buildings kept having activities. So that's my question, that I don't know if you, in what you answer yes to. My question is, again, sir, if they're shut down because they found it to be an unsafe structure, I'm not talking about the 40, 50 years, 30, 40, 60, 70, I'm talking that they found, our inspectors found them to be unsafe structures because of all the different changes that they made without permits inside the building, and they were shut down. Not once, but more times in some cases. So my question is, if that happens, and for whatever strange reason, we haven't pulled their CU, and years have gone by, and everybody seemed to have forgotten that it was an unsafe structure, can that building that was hit as an unsafe structure, and cases were open, could they have operated still like normal, with normal activities, whatever the activity is that they wanted to hold?
So if that happened prior to my tenure.
It's prior to your tenure, I kept telling you.
That could have been the case. I can tell you that with a high level of certainty that in this new environment, those buildings will be referred to the unsafe structures
Yeah,
so
but-
that.
But you're not answering me. Look, this is not having to do with you. This is cases that have happened before. What I'm trying to ascertain from you on the record is if they were shut down because they were unsafe structures, and for whatever reason, the CU was pulled from them, could they have kept having activities like nothing had happened?
Business as usual.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the past, but I would imagine, I
No,
don't.
I'm talking, what is our law? I mean,
No.
is this allowed or not in the city?
It is not allowed.
Okay, so that's what I wanted an answer for. Very simple. Very simple. So, in a building that you have your whoever from unsafe structures sees that they're tore up the whole inside of the building, no permits, they shut them down, and you would think if they're shut down, they're going to comply with it. But in one particular case out of several that I've seen, they had to come back 10 days later. And you know what? They were still having a grand old party. And somehow the CU wasn't pulled, and business as usual was done from time to time, whatever they wanted to in that building. So you're telling me on the record that is not allowed, that once you get hit with unsafe structure in the way that I describe it, I'm not talking the 40-50, that there should be no other activities in those buildings.
When the due process is followed, that is correct. You're not allowed to continue.
Commissioner, I'd
Okay,
like,
you changed it a little bit now. Okay, and this is the problem we're having in the city.
And I'll clarify it. If we, the inspectors, find any unsafe conditions, the authority of the building official has the authority to shut that place down, and we will refer that case. That's the procedure that's in place right now under our city ordinances. We'll refer that case immediately to the unsafe structures panel with a deferral to revoke the certificate of use.
Right, but they cannot, while that's happening, just carry on business as usual.
We will send our inspectors as often as we need to in order to make sure that that doesn't happen. Specifically, and essentially on buildings that we have shut down for unsafe conditions, absolutely.
Commissioner, I'd like to jump in, and perhaps offline, Director, you can get some specific addresses of concern that the Commissioner is referring to, so you can look into the history to see.
Yeah.
But I'd like to look at the bigger picture of this. The knee-jerk reaction to what's happened in Surfside, although there is no other answer. If a building is unsafe, we do not want anyone living there. But the knee-jerk reaction to that could be the largest mass eviction, in addition to our affordable housing crisis and our homeless situation, if we don't look at this very carefully in a holistic way. What has been going on for years is a looking of the other way to landlords, no, slumlords, who are not maintaining their buildings and not keeping up with code. The fact that they are allowed to go on up to their 40 year without any checks and balances on the condition of their building is unforgivable. We went through this on Grand Avenue, and I was trying to fight the evictions, and when I learned it's actually us that's initiating the eviction, I realized there's a problem with the system. The residents, don't ask, don't tell, because if they complain of the mold or the leaks or the rats or the cracks or the spalling, they risk getting evicted. So they keep their mouth shut. The landlord keeps his mouth shut because he don't want to spend on the building. And maybe even, he's looking to clear that lot for redevelopment, and the hardest next step for him is actually going through an evictions process. We're doing him a favor. So where we are lacking is in the monitoring and enforcement of minimum living standards and unsafe structures early in the procedure with the teeth to push for improvements. Because otherwise, we're just hitting the nuclear option at the end. And the victim isn't the landlord, the victim is the residents, the tenants. So we need to look at this in a big way. Commissioner Reyes, you recognized.
I
And then
agree
Commissioner
with your statement.
Commissioner, that's precisely what I gave the directive to the city manager, because you are absolutely right. You see, I know that every single commissioner here, we had complaints from residents about the poor conditions of the places that they are living in and the lack of any intention to repair or correct all the problems that they have. And I agree that we need to have be very strict about it, but at the same time, as Commissioner Russell says, we have to be ahead of the consequences that could happen, and we have to weigh them and see how can we correct them without causing much harm and to the people that live in those buildings. You see,
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes.
I think that we need to reevaluate our policies, and that's what I want within the next 30 days. And if legislation is required to give it more teeth, as Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Russell are expressing, and please bring the legislation that I, for one, I will support it, and I know that my colleagues will support it.
Well, let's bring that to a head right now. We haven't actually done the procedures for the meeting yet. We'll get to that. But a question for you, Director, as well as the Law Department. The letters you sent out, they sound like a strong directive, but I noticed in the fine print, it says we are urging you to get this inspection done and have it back to us within 45 days. Is there any teeth to that? And if not, do you need assistance from this body to give it teeth?
So it is unfortunately not mandatory because we do not have the teeth currently in the code to make them mandatory. Certainly, that would be a discussion with law to see if further action by this body could change that. I can tell you we started receiving responses back. So I have received a multitude of emails and phone calls with essentially with the first 125 buildings from buildings that definitely want to bring that compliance back into the city, even if it is.
What is the average cost to do this inspection?
So we raised the bar and the minimum threshold. I want to make that crystal clear on that letter because we believe that essentially for buildings that are 6 stories and higher, you got to have a higher threshold of expertise to be able to recertify that particular building. So that may change, that cost may change slightly from building and structure to structure, but we're not asking in this letter for a full recertification. We're asking for an engineer that has that level of expertise to go out and assess these facilities for any signs of, structural distress. So it's not a full recertification. It's a full inspection. And what is different from the and again, it's as a recommendation to all of these structures is that the minimum level of the individual that it's going to be performing those inspections, that be a person that has previously designed and inspected levels, these facilities for the
Understood.
level of. So that's obviously going to increase the.
About how much? For the larger buildings, of which there's 125, what are we asking of them? Or if legislation passes, what would we be demanding of them to spend on this effort?
Premium wise.
Just the cost of this inspection, not the repairs, but the inspection itself.
So the cost, the inspection itself, I'm going to have to come back with you on that one.
I'd like to get that as well as if it's a lower level
Yeah.
for the 900 buildings at the 3 to 5 stories, I'd like to know what that cost average is. And then I'd like to understand from law our ability to force this cost upon these landlords, whether we can or not, whether we should or not, whether we should be assisting in this or not. We're declaring this to be an urgent situation based on what we've seen can happen in the worst case scenario. So we need to understand what we're pushing on those landlords and whether we can or not. So if legal can have some analysis for that, I'd really appreciate something this afternoon. So if action of this body is needed, we can take it today.
Well,
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, you're recognized, Commissioner Watson.
Here's the thing, Mr. Chair, and everybody has these buildings, and everybody's going to be called. And so Mr. Menz probably will help us because there's, Commissioner Corollo's question, Ace, really wasn't at you, it was at our process. Our process is intertwined with state law. And so we need to figure out right now, regardless of what the costs are, how we ensure that we are protected for past whatever, has nothing to do with you. Okay? The residents are protected from actions that they may not even understand because I went to that building. I understand there was a cessation in service in construction where the interior sat for a while. And if you listen to our guys and now reports, the rebar, wire, whatever you want to call it, based on where it was, acidity rotted it away, and so there was no reinforcement in the pillars, right? What people don't understand is that with condominiums, the developer is only responsible for 3 years, and after 3 years, it's a homeowner association. And a homeowner association is probably not going to want to levy themselves $15 million, $20 million to fix the building. We had one on Brickell, 15th Street, South River Drive. He had to house, because he was not off yet, he had to house those residents for 2 years until he fixed the problem, right? And so if we're going to now probably be told with the analysis, there is no teeth in what we have, particularly for pass, right? And everybody's going to get called because everybody has between 900 and 125, it's 1,025 buildings. Everybody's going to get called by their friends, landlords, or what have you. They got to do it, right? We should have it. We should tell them, we'll cover the cost for 30, whatever it is, and then over and above they cover. But it's really about protecting the big industry that we have. We do, you told me, $2.7, $3.2 billion of construction a year, right? So it's about protecting the industry. About giving comfort to the people in older buildings, because it's great to be in an older building until you find out. Look, I had someone visit me for some work I need, and the gentleman told me for 10 years he's walked by that building, and from the sidewalk, he could see structural damage on that building. From the sidewalk, right? And I think, yes, the process does allow people to continue to operate, even when we give them unsafe structure. That's residence and commercial. And so, yeah, we got to put some teeth in what we have to ensure that people know that we're now looking out for them even when they're not looking out for themselves. Because I wouldn't want to assess myself $15 million. I bought that condo for $100,000. An assessment now makes me pay $125,000. That makes no sense to me. And then I can vote to do it. So, but at least we will now have moved in front of the process as opposed to waiting for another occurrence that we really had nothing to do with. So what we should be trying to find out, rather than the analysis, is ensuring that legally we can do what we're trying to do to make sure we protect the people who are not even want to protect themselves, right?
Thank you, Ace. I'd like to get us back on track, and if there is legislation to be brought, we'll see that later today. But to start the meeting off appropriately, Mr. City Attorney, please state the procedures to be followed during this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not be a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available at the City Clerk's office or online at municode.com. Any person making a presentation, form, or request or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of this code section is available at the office of the City Clerk or online at municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to Section 2-8 of the City Code. Any documents offered to the City Commissioners that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. If any Commissioner thinks the documents supplied to the Commission fewer than 7 days before merit a continuance, the item may be continued by the City Commission. Pursuant to Sections 2-33, subsection F and subsection G of the City Code, the agenda and the material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the Chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission, unless modified by the Chair. Public comment will begin at approximately 9 a.m. and remain open until public comment is closed by the chairperson. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via the online comment form. Please visit miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been and will be distributed to the elected officials and city administration throughout the day so that the elected officials can consider the comments prior to taking any action. Additionally, the online comment form will remain open to the meeting to accept comments and distribute to the elected officials up until the time the chairperson closes the public comment period. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall located at 3500 Pan American Drive, Miami, Florida, subject to any and all city rules. If the proposition to be continued rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the City Clerk. The City has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public support, opposition, and neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at today's City Commission meeting, pursuant to Section 286.014, Section 4, Section C of Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting within reasonable approximating time before the meeting. Please note, Commissioners have generally been briefed by City staff and the City Attorney on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision made by the City Commission for any matter considered at this meeting may need a verbatim record of the item. A video of this meeting may be requested at the Office of Communications or viewed online at miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 Zoning Code as temporarily modified pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Numbers 13903 and 13914. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903 and 13914, parties for any PZ items, including any applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, and any person recognized by a decision-making body as qualified intervener, as well as the applicant's representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the City Clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person at their location by an individual qualified to perform such duty. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, members of the general public who are not parties to an action pending before this City Commission are not required to be sworn in by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any ex parte communications to remove the presumption of prejudice pursuant to Florida Statute Section 286.115 and Section 7.1.4.5 of the Miami 21 Code. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. For applications requiring City Commission approval, the applicant will present its application request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with staff's recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. The order of presentation should be as set forth in Miami 21 in the City Code, providing that the appellant shall present first. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will be allowed to make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and other noise-making devices. This meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV at miamigov.com/TV, the City's Facebook page, the City's Twitter page, the City's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. Broadcast will also have closed captioning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals who are providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk, immediately after I finish explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning and zoning items and or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn in at their location by an individual qualified to administer the oath. After you are sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual who will provide testimony must be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the City Clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning item and or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant item for which you'll be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules of procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes, thank you.
Chair, may I administer the oath for the planning and zoning items?
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you will be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's meeting is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Yes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any mayoral vetoes?
Chair, there are no mayoral vetoes.
Thank you. Are there any presentations and proclamations for today? Any commissioners? Mayor's office? All right, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Manager. Are there any items that the administration would like to see withdrawn, deferred, or continued?
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and or withdraw the following items. On the regular agenda, RE 10 to be deferred to July 22nd. FR 1 to be deferred to July 22nd. DI 1 to be deferred to July 22nd. DI 2 to be withdrawn. What is DI 2, please? DI 2 is the American Rescue money discussion. The intent is to bring an actual item back, not a discussion item, but an actual plan. I know the mayor's been meeting with each of you individually, so. I can't hear you, sir. Sorry. The mic's not on.
I said you will be meeting with each of us beforehand, right?
Oh, I will. The mayor's meeting with you individually, then I'll do a follow-up afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. And then there's a time certain item, which is DI 4, which is the Skyline Metro Rail Station as a 3 p.m. time certain.
Okay, Mr. Chair?
Are there any other items from the administration? Or
No, sir, that concludes the item.
Commissioner Reyes, you're recognized.
Yes, I would like to ask for deferral for RE 13.
Which one?
RE 13, I'm asking you if you agree that we defer this to September?
Can we leave this for after lunch sometime and discuss it?
Okay, okay. And also PC1, my problem with PC1, I want to sit down. I had not received the information that I asked about what was going to be the breakdown of the rent, how much of the AMI is going to be used. And last time they were going way over the AMI, and I would like to sit with the
This is the Rainbow Village item?
Yes.
Are you seeking a deferral, or you'd like information before the item comes up?
No, I would have to sit down and discuss why I feel like that, because obviously I haven't received any information that I requested, and when we met, and I would like to defer it to September of next meeting. I don't care. As soon as I get the information.
Commissioner Watson, this is in your district. What are you looking for?
Let me say that if they are present, then I'd like for them to sit down with you at some point today, because it's a time-sensitive item.
Okay.
If they are present, if they're present, the proposers, you need to sit down with Commissioner Reyes for days in.
You
Otherwise,
see,
it'll be.
let me be very specific about this. We have legislation that when you receive any benefits from us, and you are offering quote-unquote affordable housing or workforce housing, you cannot charge anything that is above 100% of AMI. And 100% and 110, and I'm going to give you a little example. For example, from going to 110 means that you could charge up to almost $1,900 a month. You see, if you bring it down to 100, that will be maximum $1,600 a month, which is extremely, I mean, it really affects the population that we want to serve. And one thing that I had, and I have been my quest since I got here, that if we offer affordable housing, they have to be affordable. You see, they have to be affordable. And if we are offering any benefits, there's those benefits that, we should get in return units that they are affordable for the people that live in the area.
So, Mr. Chair, just so they can come back this afternoon, we'll hold up. They should get Commissioner Reyes. Commissioner Reyes is a non-starter for him. So get those numbers. If you're not interested in your item being pulled since it's time sensitive, you can explain to him he's consistent with that and what that means for him.
Okay.
My district notwithstanding, it's the same for him in every district, right? So affordability issue is an issue. He needs to be explained to exactly what that is. You need to do that so that we can make sure the item can be heard, if that's what you want to do, all right?
All right. Sounds like Commissioner Reyes has a lunch appointment now. Are you willing to at least table this for today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
That's my only concern.
right.
I agree that we have to develop. I agree that we have to provide affordable housing, but let's make sure that we provide an affordable housing. That's my
So both RE13 and PZ1 will not be added to the moment's deferral list for the order of the day, but we'll take it up. They may be deferred this afternoon after discussion.
Absolutely.
Understood. Are there any other items from commissioners that'd like to see withdrawn, deferred, or continued?
RE 15 would be deferred to 622,
622.
please.
you mean-
722, sorry.
I'm sorry?
Deferred to 722.
722.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, RE 15,
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay. Is there a time limitations that they need in this, or it doesn't matter?
Well, it's not a time limitation. Otherwise, they like to get going, but they're not finished with that process, and there's going to be another board member added, and so they want to at least give them 2 weeks to finish their process so they can be moving over the break.
All right.
Okay.
So this is R 15.
Yes,
RE 15, yes.
Little Haiti Revitalization Trust, President,
Oh.
CEO.
Okay, now then, I'm not looking at the right one here.
Yeah, this is the Little Haiti Trust.
Yeah, this is, I was looking at another one here. All right, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay.
Any other items? All right. Is there a motion to accept the
Motion.
order of the day? Moved by Commissioner Carrillo, second by
Second.
Commissioner Reyes. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. I'd like to move to public comment now for the remaining items on the agenda. If you're here to speak on any of the remaining items, whether it's planning and zoning or otherwise, you'll have 2 minutes. You just need to state your name and the item you are speaking on. You'll hear a little beep right around the 30-second mark in your 2 minutes. That's the signal to start wrapping it up so that we can respect everybody's time. Please alternate lecterns here. And if you can line up at both, so we'll just alternate back and forth between. And you're very welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mileika Burgos Flores, Executive Director at the Alapata Collaborative, 1951 Northwest 7th Avenue. I am here to speak on item RE13, and I have two main points on that. We believe that community input should be at the center of any development, especially when we are dealing with public resources. This project should not be the exception. If done correctly, this could be beneficial for Alapata. However, we must consider that the Alapata Library is the second oldest library in Miami, definitely a potential historic treasure. We have a commercial corridor whose small businesses' input must be taken into consideration. We also have a high school across the street and a senior building to the west of the property. Their voices and needs must be heard. Please also consider that affordable housing in Alapata means housing that is affordable and attainable to people in Alapata. The Alapata median income is $27,000, and the county median income is $59,000. 60% of the county AMI is not affordable to people in Alapata because the Alapata AMI is barely 50% of the county AMI. If the current land conveyance process has shown us anything, it's that it needs to be revamped. This experience clearly shows that we need public land conveyance protocols that are transparent and centered in meaningful community participation and input. If the community was involved from the beginning, this wouldn't be happening. We need a transparent, community-driven strategy that is equitable, efficient, and provides clear guidelines to everyone involved. Miamians cannot afford a hit-or-miss process, which is what we have right now. We need protocols that work for the benefit of the community all the time, not just sometimes. We would love to collaborate with you on legislation that establishes a community-informed, transparent, inclusive, and participatory protocol to convey public land. We are happy to share best practices with you and make this a reality. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
If you would, ma'am,
Yes.
get a hold of my office, because I think what you are asking for, it's something that is very valuable to the city and should be done. So get a hold of my office. I'll be happy to talk with any one of you from Alapata or any other districts, and with the administration, try to come up with something that will be proper and make sense. I have nothing against this project. I brought it back on for a possible reconsideration because it doesn't make sense to me, among some of the things that I've heard, that the organization that we gave this property to, it's not doing anything, but they're going to get 20% of the profits. I'd rather have the city get a smaller amount and sell that to whoever wants to develop it, and they could save a lot of money instead of having to pay 20%. But that's one opinion anyway, and this is why with what you're requesting makes a lot of sense. So I thank you for coming here today,
Thank you,
taking
sir.
your time to bring this to our attention.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning to all. My name is Miguel Solomon. I live at 1436 Southwest 6th Street in Little Havana. Commissioners, I'm here to bring something to your attention. I'm a general contractor and have been certified in the state of Florida since 1984. In Miami-Dade County, we have a code enforcement department that enforces the Florida Building Code. In the city of Miami, we have two mechanisms to avoid disasters like we had in Miami Beach. That is unsafe structures and a code enforcement department. The problem with our code enforcement department is that it is geared and designed to enforce the city of Miami code, not the Florida Building Code. There are a lot of disasters that we can be facing, And structural collapse of a building is not the only one. We have hurricanes that we, thank God, just avoided one, that can tear apart a structure, send it flying into your neighbor's house and kill someone. We have fires in buildings that if they don't have proper means of egress and identified exits, fire sprinklers, fire alarms, that can kill hundreds of people too. Our code enforcement department enforces the City of Miami code, but it does not enforce the Florida building code the way that Miami-Dade County Code Enforcement Department does. And that is where we lack deficiency. Right now, we go into a business that violates the Florida building code, and we're putting a burden on an unsafe structure department that is not their purpose. The building, the code department is the one that is supposed to enforce according to the South Florida Building Code.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sabrina Velarde. I am the Policy Director for Miami Homes for All, and I'm here to speak in reference to RE 13 as well. Our address is 1951 Northwest 7th Avenue, Miami, Florida 33136. Miami Homes for All shares the hopes you have heard already for the redevelopment of the Allapattah Library site. After hearing from community stakeholders, we agree that the development should reach deeper affordability that should be targeted to the incomes of Allapattah residents, and of course, in accordance with fair housing guidelines. That the development should retain the library and the parking on site, and that additional engagement should be conducted by the grantee to ensure that community needs are met. If all of the above comes to pass, we believe this development could bring a lot of benefit to Allapattah. We hope that the city, the grantee, and that its partners reach an agreement that incorporates those three things. This project presents a case study to inform how public land can and should be deployed. It demonstrates the power of community engagement by trusted, connected partners and how it can make a project better for multiple stakeholders in a neighborhood, from residents to workers to small business owners, and by extension, the developer and property owner. It also shows how slow, inefficient, and uncertain the process of getting to this outcome can be. We propose an alternative, a policy by this commission that can make more beneficial developments such as truly affordable housing possible and faster to come online. A transparent policy that articulates the rules of early-stage community engagement as well as the goals for the use of city-owned land. We believe this would create better development, inform private sector partners up front, and reduce time and other real costs in the development process. In order to fill the vast shortage of affordable housing and to meet other needs of our residents, we must pass policies to make truly beneficial development possible more often and faster. Miami Homes for All is available to share best practices in the deployment of publicly owned land should this commission and administration decide to do so.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jeremy Wax. I'm a local resident at 3775 LaQuad Avenue. I'm a local business owner, and I'm also a co-founder of Debris Free Oceans, which is a local 501c3 nonprofit. Me and my wife founded in 2014 to clean up marine debris, educate the youth, and try to work with local legislature to pass single-use plastics bans and help clean up our oceans. I'm here to speak on behalf of a proponent of the Rickenbacker Marina and Abad's family, who has operated the marina for 40 years. I have worked with Abad doing multiple cleanups. He's been an excellent member of the local community. He's been an activist environmentally, and he's helped, I know, our nonprofit do a lot of great things in the community. I think Abad and his family have been good stewards of the land that they've been operating for the past, I think, 40 years or so. And, you know, I think they're good people, and we need people like that who care about the local environment, and not just the environment, but the people who work there. And I think these are the kinds of people we want to operate on city land. And I'm just here to speak on his behalf to, you know, not on his behalf, but on my behalf to let you guys know I think it's a great idea to keep, you know, these guys on site. So. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to speak on RE 13. My name is Ana Sofia Pelais. I'm a resident of Shenandoah, City of Miami, 1825 Southwest 21st Avenue. My organization, Miami Freedom Project, is a member of the Public Land for Public Good Coalition. We're made up of 30 grassroots organizations that have developed a list of principles for developing public land to ensure it is done equitably and sustainably. I am here to talk about the importance of a community engagement process where the needs of the community are centered. We are not interested in derailing projects or even delaying them. What we do want are public land conveyance protocols that are efficient, transparent, and where the community is involved from the inception to completion. Right now, we are conducting a survey to see what residents' needs are for 18 acres of publicly owned land in the heart of Allapattah on Northwest 20th Street. They have a lot to say when you ask them. Many of you have already shown your support for this initiative, and we urge you to adopt legislation that establishes community-centered protocols for public land conveyance that could become a guide for public land conveyance in Allapattah and across the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Victor Onsang. I'm a law student at the University of Miami. I'm interning at the Community Justice Project, and I'm here to speak about RE 13 also. And much like the speakers right before me, we're concerned about a lot of the people that we serve are concerned about displacement with a lot of the development that's going on in the rapidly, exponentially growing city. And in particular, the disposition of city-owned property, we believe should be more transparent, and should have some community input. I believe there's already scenarios where conveyance of city-owned property requires voter referendums and public hearings. And we believe that even for affordable housing and public programs that benefit working and low-income people, there should be some public hearings and voter referendums to ensure that the community has some say. And we're also to reinforce and re-highlight that the median income in Allapattah and a lot of communities in Brown Stubbs, Liberty City, Little Haiti, hovers around $25,000 for many families. So once we start creeping up to 60% AMI and above, the rent becomes unaffordable for many. And thank you. I hope the commissioners please consider having some more community input so that projects won't be delayed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Julio Diaz. I'm representing myself and my co-business owners on RE 13. The small businesses located in the vicinity of the Allapattah Branch Library and its accompanying public lot at Northwest 35th Street and 17th Avenue are joining together to express concerns with the conveyance of land you have agreed to in the City of Miami Resolution R20-0295 without considering the impact of the nearby businesses nor the community. Many of our small businesses depend on the parking lot adjacent to the Allapattah Library. The parking lot provides a safe, accessible area for customers in addition to ensuring compliance with certificate of use requirements. For several years, we have been voicing the challenging parking situation in our area, which makes it difficult for our customers and employees. Eradicating only public parking lot in the area will make it much more difficult for small businesses to survive the rampant displacement our community is currently experiencing. If the nearby small businesses owners do not have access to this parking area, they will not be able to renew their certificate of use. This will result in having to find a different location or the loss of business altogether. It will also increase the likelihood of the property owner being unable to find new tenants. If property managers have commercial space they cannot rent, they will be forced to dispose of the property to make way for new development. This will be devastating to our commercial corridor and the small businesses that have been sustaining our community for decades. We are a vital part of the history of this community, and we do not want to see our neighbors, most of which are commercial renters, be displaced. We support housing that is truly affordable for constituents who live and work in the community, as well as the development of community resources that are urgently needed in our neighborhood. We urge you to consider the potential outcomes of your decision, as we believe that it may usher massive small business closure and continue to fuel gentrification. We are open to working with the city of Miami to find common sense solutions that can address the parking situation and the sustainability of commercial corridors. As Commissioner Manolo said this morning, he's for the growth and retention of small businesses. And this will hinder that dramatically.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Bob Riley. I'm with mangrove.org, 6001 Highway A1A, Indian River Shores. I'm here in support of RE12. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, we've been doing work in Miami-Dade County since Hurricane Andrew, if anybody's old enough to remember that activity. But we've done reforestation activity, we do ecological engineering, sustainable development, coastal resilience, all the things that are important to the environment, important to local residents. We have been active with the Army Corps of Engineers, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the county. We work with all the regulatory agencies. We're in very heavy support of the current management. They've been very helpful in our activity and our restoration activities. They've also supported us. We have a program where we bring high school students in from the classroom into the field, and Rickenbacker Marina has made their site very accessible to us and have supported that activity for the school system. Many of the students tell us that that's the most important thing, and their whole activity was actually coming out to the field and not just sitting in a classroom. So that's something that we want to continue and work with the current management there to continue that activity. Again, we're in support of RE12. Again, the current management's been very supportive of our activity in our mangrove reforestation, and we've been here since, again, Hurricane Andrew doing activity throughout. We currently have projects from up in Sunny Isles Beach all the way to Coral Gables, and we're actively restoring mangroves and creating habitat. So we want to continue that activity with the current management.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Goldman-Srebnick. I'm the co-chair of Goldman Properties and the chair of the Town Square Neighborhood Development Corporation, and a very proud Miamian. My address is 2214 Northwest First Place in Miami, and I am speaking on item RE4. 3 years ago, as plans for the Signature Bridge solidified, concerned stakeholders, including myself, formed an ad hoc group to begin advocacy efforts for the 33-acre public space that will emerge as part of this project. Members of this initial group included dozens of civic leaders, business leaders, philanthropic leaders, adjacent landowners, small business owners, nonprofits, and residents, and we called ourselves the Underdeck Advisory Board. We are a group of volunteers invested for the long haul in contributing to the development of a vibrant signature public space for our entire community. We believe it is imperative to grow this group's membership exponentially. As plans for the project are developed, it is important to understand our community's priorities, and we can only do that if we all work together. The time is now to develop a broad and inclusive advocacy group to work with the city before the project's plans are finalized, before the project is built. This is the time to work on ensuring that we can proactively do this right together. Over the last 3 years, our Underdeck Board has worked closely with the city's administration, advocating for state-level funding for this City of Miami project, contributing to the development of the concept design submitted to the city, to FDOT, and we are persistently committed to solutions on this important project. We value and appreciate the spirit of collaboration and are hopeful that not only will this continue, but will strengthen. We were recently awarded a Knight Foundation planning grant match. Knight has awarded us $250,000, and we are raising the match, and this is just the start. We are committed to leveraging this initial funding opportunity to move long-term collective solutions forward. We believe this type of public space, a generational project for our community, is a collective responsibility, and we want to work with the city over the next years in the development of a plan that can be considered by commission. The FDOT MOU being extended today in item RE4 includes this planning work That MOU amendment extends the timeline and holds the city responsible to have all of this planning work completed by July of 2022. We recently met with the city manager to discuss the work and we have already done together and the steps ahead. We greatly look forward to a continued productive collaboration with the city commission and staff, and I thank you.
Thank you. Question for you, please.
Yes.
Are you seeking for the MOU with the state to be amended to include Town Square, or are you seeking a separate amendment with the city, between the city and Town Square?
May I have Lisa Martinez, who is our project manager, answer that question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for comments.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Manager. Lisa Martinez, reside at 457 Southwest 27th Road, and as Jessica had shared, I am the project manager for this Knight Foundation grant. We are hopeful that we could be able to formalize this planning process with the city. We do not anticipate that it should be included within the FDOT city MOU. We believe that there should be a framework of the way in which we would work together separately, separate from the MOU.
Okay, thank you. Did you have other additional comments?
Yes, I did.
2 minutes, please.
As Ms. Goldman had shared, I am the project manager regarding the Knight Foundation grant. Ms. Goldman referenced the fact that she's the chair of the Town Square Board. The Underdeck Advisory Board, as an ad hoc committee, needed a nonprofit partner to be able to accept and manage the grant dollars and the dollars raised by the community. Town Square has embraced the role of incubator for the Underdeck Advisory Board and the work that will emerge over the next year. The Underdeck Advisory Board functions as its own steering committee and in fact now has working groups getting prepped to take the work on ahead. The grant will fund the process of the development of a comprehensive community engagement effort. The research and implementation of the most viable, sustainable funding strategies. The research and implementation of sustainable governance models for vibrant public spaces. The branding and marketing strategy for this project. The current steering committees are coordinating their efforts into working groups. One of these working groups is a fund development working group that will focus on a sustainable fund development strategy to ensure that this in fact emerges as a generational project our community deserves. We look forward to the work ahead and are optimistic about what we can accomplish together.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
You're recognized.
I have
Microphone.
When you came to my office, my main concern it is maintenance.
Right.
Who's going to pay for the maintenance and the upkeep and the security of that of the underdeck, so-called underdeck? And I'm concerned that if we don't keep the proper security, it will be it will be destroyed. It will be homeless then. And also, and that will affect the businesses that you are forecasting that they are going to be established in that area. And also, I don't think that the city of Miami should incur that cost. I think that that cost is either should come from the funds that you are receiving. You're receiving a lot of funds, and you want to make you have to take some action that the residents of the city of Miami, the taxpayers of the city of Miami, should not have that burden on them, and that the maintenance and security of the underdeck, it is well taken care by your conservancy. I think that you're going to have a conservancy. It should be taken care of and free us from any responsibility of that.
May I respond?
Of course.
Thank you. The questions you are framing, Commissioner, are questions that the community as a whole have as well. The intent is being able to determine how we can be able to not only have a public space that has the appropriate security, not only has a public maintenance, but at the same time is a robust generational project that's at the heart of our community. With that being said, the answers are not easy, and that's why we want to be able to start ironing them out together. And we do recognize that it should not fall fully on the City of Miami's plate. And in being able to determine the best way to approach that, we want to be able to start working and advocating and developing a strategy that's layered, including philanthropic efforts and multiple governmental investments. And that would be our goal, so that we could make sure that by the time that this plan has to be submitted to FDOT, that we have collectively, as a full community, come together with a plan that speaks to the future of this public space.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
I read an article where Ms. Goldman sent her brother out and discovered Wynwood. I hope that was a misquote, because it existed way before they discovered it. But I just want to kind of take a strike at trying to get some information, because there's always a stated community involve everybody until it's time to involve them. You remember on the field, that was the operation where neither you or I spoke, and they wouldn't let you speak. And so I'm just trying to understand, who is this Town Square Board operation? And Commissioner Carollo, I remember almost 3 years ago, asked the question when this came up, who's going to maintain and operate this? And staff couldn't tell him because staff didn't know. And I'm being told that this is two different things. So I guess what we're actually being decided on today is the money from the state. And so I just want to make sure that's what it is we are doing, because clearly the money that I'm hearing about is not going to not going to help operate and maintain this vision of this square board for years in duration, right? And so Ms. Martinez has not provided that because she's not having an opportunity to provide it to me. And so I'm asking that that at least be given. We can figure out who these folks are, because they have a lot of, I just want to make sure we're dealing with the reality and not the fluff. That's all.
If I may, Commissioner, or?
Yes, you're recognized.
Okay. Commissioner Watson, thank you so much for kind of putting the question out so that we could be able to explain it. And in some ways, I was trying to be able to at least explain the relationship of the work. So the Underdeck Advisory Board, it was an ad hoc group that had vested members that wanted to be able to just have a common vision to be able to accomplish that. The Knight Foundation grant that I had referenced needed to be able to have a nonprofit to be able to grant the funds to. The Town Square Neighborhood Development Corporation is a nonprofit that has been in place since approximately 2011. And the nonprofit is focused, the membership is inclusive of representation from the museums, the arena, different representatives of the actual institutions around the Arts Center, so as to be able to be advocates for the area, the development around the area. In reflecting upon a nonprofit that could merely incubate this planning process, because it is not intended to be the entity to oversee any process, but it is intended to be able to be an entity that can receive planning dollars that are not only received by the Knight Foundation, but raised by the community to be able to work with the city in the development of a plan for the FDOT MOU that you're considering now. With that being said, the monies that we are talking about are only currently planning dollars. The planning dollars that we're bringing to the table are at this point $250,000 from Knight and the matching of that from philanthropic fundraising. And what we would be focusing on is the development of what you have underscored since we have met on this project, and that we have also committed to making sure that we continue providing you updates, is that how do we make sure that comprehensive stakeholder input is included, comprehensive stakeholder participation within governance is included? How can we make sure that we look to the development of a governance structure that does integrate the commissioner's feedback and direction, but in a manner that we have time to do it and we're not having to rush with a solution. We have a year ahead of us to be able to do that. And then finally, a fund development strategy. When we're speaking about the funding moving forward, I do not have the answers for you today. The work ahead over the year will be about working through with city staff, which we have advocated and we have been collaborating with for many months. I have been collaborating with for many months, and the Underdeck Advisory Board has been collaborating with for years, in being able to determine how do we make sure that there is enough money, not only for maintenance, not only for security, but effective programming that's revenue generating and being able to make sure that it doesn't fall upon the taxpayers' dollars. So the work is ahead of us, and what we'd like to be able to do is simply be transparent about what that work looks like, who needs to be at the table so that we don't leave anybody out, and proceed in an effective fashion.
Thank you.
So this is an MOU, this deals with an MOU with the Florida Department of Transportation?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And they are seeking a separate MOU with the city so that they can help and be at the table. Yeah.
That will be a different MOU.
Correct.
With the city, and where we are going to clearly state who is responsible for paying for the security and maintenance.
Yes, and just for clarification, the reason that we have come today to speak on this particular amendment is because there is relevance to the work that we're talking about in this MOU.
Yep.
This MOU does not speak about dollars, it speaks about deliverables. And when we're talking about deliverables, there are significant deliverables that are due July 2022 based upon the amendment that you're approving, and the clock is ticking. And so what we want to be able to do is share in that responsibility that the city has in being able to submit a plan to the to FDOT in July of 2022.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and give direction to the management and legal. If they could bring back a framework for how this relationship might work between the city and Town Square. If they're bringing up to $500,000 to this project to help with planning, they should have a formal seat at the table that we can interact with them. So if all are in agreement to have a draft of some sort of agreement between us and Town Square. Commissioner Watson.
Not really. Let's just deal with this MOU with FDOT.
It's separate. It's separate. So you're not ready to contemplate an MOU between us and Town Square?
I just don't know who Town Square is.
Right.
And now this is going into a neighborhood. And so 20 years of planning, and the people where now that it's going to, they don't know who Town Square is. Yeah. And so all of a sudden now we're going to do MOU with Town Square. Well, they haven't been at the table for 20 years. So I just want to make sure we know who these people are. They block you from speaking at the meeting. So, so yeah, I'd like to know who they are.
I hear you.
That's all.
All right, we have some work to do.
I'll follow up with the commissioner.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Manny Rionda, 155 Sunrise Drive in Key Biscayne, Florida. I am here to speak on behalf of RE12. 2 years ago, I founded a nonprofit organization called Fill-A-Bag, and we're part of a growing group of environmentalists whose mission is to really raise awareness around the issues of marine debris and pollution and the status of our bay and our oceans and waterways. I'm sure you'll agree that our waterways and oceans and coastlines are among our most valued treasures here in South Florida. Organizations such as Fill-A-Bag, Debris Free Oceans, Seakeepers, Miami Waterkeeper, Surf Rider, Clean This Beach Up, Send It for the Sea. You may be familiar with some of them. They do incredible work. And among our most important and most dedicated collaborators is the management at Rickenbacker Marina. We believe that and we know that they are excellent stewards for Virginia Key, extremely civic-minded, proactive, generous, and forward-thinking, and whatever it takes to help preserve the health of our coastlines and waterways, they are always behind us. So we hope that you will consider extending their lease with the city and continuing to help protect our waterways. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments. Good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy Williams, Reverend Jimmy Williams from St. James, CDC, President, address located 1854 Northwest 65th Street, Miami, Florida 33147. Let me thank the honorables, commissioners for their listening ear, and the wonderful residents who we have met with and business owners in Attapata. It is very concerning to me that we not enter into a project of this magnitude without first hearing from the people. I am in total agreement with what you all are deciding, and I think as a former city commissioner from Homestead, that serving 8 years, that I understand the nature of this work. Though this may be one of our first major projects, we're not new to the community. Our organization has been serving for quite some time with integrity and honor. And I am willing to sit here and listen and have constructive criticism, because I believe that affordable housing is needed. During my time in the city of Homestead for 8 years, when Liberty City was, when gentrification over town and Liberty City, most of the persons came down to Homestead in Florida City. So I recognized the important need of such communication, such deliberate ear to hear, so that we can fine tune. And I appreciate you all trying to defer the matter until a time certain date. I would also ask for your consideration to allow me, Commissioner Crowley, to meet with your office as well, so that you will hear from our organization in its totality. Thank you for your.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Angela Williams. I'm the president of Rainbow Village Resident Council, and this is about the Rainbow Village. And I agree with the developer in certain things, so we're going to get together and work it out, but I'm really happy with it.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your comments. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone? Mr. Chair, respect to Commissioner of District 5, Mr. Watson. I'm here today to speak on, if I get it right here, line item 14, dealing with the whole thing of the budget for the Little Haiti Trust Fund. And I'm here to interject. I don't know if it's the proper procedure or not, but I think it's time for the city to take responsibility for Little Haiti, since Little Haiti never had a CRA. There's only one person here that voted for Magic City Project. Everybody else is gone. But I think it's time for some of that money from the Miami Forever Bond to start being utilized in Little Haiti. And I think one of the ways that it could be utilized is in the project of the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust. I think it's time for us to think about the future, a new dawn and a new beginning. How do we really help TIT? How do we make it transparent? How do we make economic development happen in that area? Because I still oppose the Magic City Project. I think it's an economic disaster that can't wait to happen. And within the next 20 years, we'll be seeing it. We'll be seeing the effects of that. So the residents of TIT need a responsibility from this honorable body to take some of those funds, if it's possible. I don't know. Maybe we need to talk to the general manager, city manager, or the law to see what could be done to transfer some of those funds from the Miami Forever Bond, or the city come up with some money to match the money that's already there. I'm totally disappointed of how the money is going to be used just in terms of in-house, meetings and stuff. It really needs to be some economic development happening in TIT, and I'm calling on this body to, look at the Miami Forever Bond and how it can be used to help the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Giving honor to God, head of my life. My name is Gwen, and I'm in support of PZ1. We need this in our community desperately. The leaks are enormous. So whenever we can help. And thank you for your assistance in helping us with this program to begin, to start. And for our kids and their kids, affordable housing is very important. And unfortunate about Surfside, but we pray for them. But at the beginning, at this program, PZ1, we thank you for all that the funding that will go towards this, and for the Overtown residents. Thank you, PZ1.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Former State Rep Roy Hardiman, Chairman of the Model City Advisory Board. I'm here also in support of PZ1, and I'm here for the zoning issue. You know, I'm glad to hear other communities having affordable housing problem other than Liberty City and Overtown. You know, I was in a meeting last night where they're going to attempt to put a 12-foot wall for sea level rising up Biscayne Boulevard. That's crazy, but that's what's on the table, and we all got to pay attention to sea level rising, and that's one of the biggest issues I saw last night. The MIA or the AMI, you know, I wouldn't be nowhere near this mic if the people of Overtown and the people that live in public housing right now today had an issue of financing. I wouldn't be near this mic. And, you know, I would tell you, you know, yes, you need to have that meeting to talk to the company and make sure that, you know, when you say $400 for a one-bedroom, I'm excited. I'm a bachelor. We need that. You know, if you're talking about $1,500, I'm gonna hit the ceiling. But $400-500 for a one-bedroom, it suits me fine. And I speak for my community, which I represent all communities, not just Liberty City. When I was in Tallahassee, they said, well, Roy, that's not your district. Anywhere it's a problem for the community, the people, I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is MacArthur Richard. I reside at 1326 Northwest 62nd Terrace. I'm a business owner, and I support the PZ1 project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. How you all doing today?
Good, thank you.
My name is Francois Alexandre. I reside at 122 Northeast 78th Street. I'm the CEO of Conscious Contractors. Thank you for having me today. I really want to echo out what Michael Clarkson just stated in regards to the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust. This is the first in a long time that we've had something that was designated for that community alone. And just looking at R14 and looking at the expenditure, just the in-house expenditure, we've already know that the Liberty City Trust went through something very similar to that, in which all of the funds were depleted and none of the money went to exactly what it was designed for. And we know that the Little Haiti Trust at this point in time is not only charged with affordable housing, but also so many other things in regards to economic development for that community. So we would like to see where is the city at in regards to investing, not just in that trust, but investing in the community itself. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning, Mr. Resio.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Tony Resio with Law Office of 2525 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. I am not speaking to you as an advocate today. I'm speaking to you personally on RE7, which is the renaming of the right-of-way to Len Helmer's Way. I just wanted to just very briefly just congratulate the city and express my support for doing that, because Len Helmer's was an exceptional public servant. I mean, the best that the city could offer, and he helped me when I knew nothing. I still don't know a whole lot, but he really helped me when I knew nothing 20 years ago. And I'm so appreciative of what he gave to the city and how he helped every one of the lawyers, engineers, construction people. He helped everybody and was just this repository of knowledge. And I'm just really thankful to have known him and have had him in my life. So I really appreciate that you guys are doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Resio. Thank you for bringing that up. Mr. Clerk, I'd like to be noted as a co-sponsor for RE7, please, which is the designation of.
Me too,
Leonard
Mr. Clerk.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Lola
Just a moment,
King.
ma'am.
Hold on.
That's a unanimous co-sponsorship, please.
Okay.
Good morning. Sorry to interrupt you.
Good morning. My name is Lola Capers. I'm with Community Construction and Awareness Services. I'm speaking on behalf of PZ1, the Rainbow and Gwen Cherry 23 project. Our program has already started training with the individuals from Overtown. The developers have started training people within the community. So therefore, when the project get ready to start, that they're able to go to work. And this program is in partnership with the FIU Moss School of Construction. We was very successful with that, with Commissioner Watson, the CRA. We hired over 15 individuals from the Overtown community to work on the Father Berry project, which is funded through that developer, HTG. We are now training individuals from Overtown with Camilla's House to help individuals that have derailed their train or made mistakes in life, so that they're able to work not only on the Rainbow project, but as well as Block 55. We are in 100% support of the PZ1. And the reason why I'm saying that is we had a community meeting last week, Thursday, and we had a bigger turnout than I have ever seen in public housing. They were excited, they were interested in jobs, they were interested in signing up, and they really, really, really want a change in their community and their living. So I'm asking the commissioners, and I know Commissioner Reyes is very firm on working, job creation, and affordable living. I know that. So, Commissioner, I'm here to tell you and all the other commissioners, not saying that you all are not interested in that, but I know Commissioner Reyes stays in my ear along with Commissioner Watson about, are you getting people to work? I want people in the community. I want to see these people in the community. I want to be driving by Commissioner Watson, and I want to make sure I see people from the community. Well, I'm here to tell you that HTG and the Swirlo Group, they're making sure that they are in compliance with the commissioners. So we are 100% in support. And I like to invite some of the commissioners to come to our community meetings so you can actually see how, I was just like, we had 2 separate meetings. We had one at 4:30, and I'm like, okay, it was raining. Okay, all the people came. I wasn't looking for them to come at 5:30, and Mr. Lou looked at me, and I looked at Mr. Lou. I said, well, the OPEC was crowded. People are interested in change, and I know that's what you all about. So I'm asking you to please, let's move forward so that when they graduate in August and September, they can start doing the rehab. And we move from the rehab 2022, we have it scheduled. So thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Reyes, you're
Yes,
recognized.
don't leave. See, I just want you to know that my main interest is that when it's called affordable housing, it's really affordable. Because given my experience since I was elected and before, most of the what's called affordable housing is not affordable. I don't think that it is affordable for the community to be paying $1,900 a month.
Well,
$1,800 a month. It is, the personal income, average personal income in those areas is very low.
Very low.
That's why I'm fighting for. So those people that live in that area, and they are making, those salaries, that they will be able to stay Right. And have a roof over their head and be proud. You see, that's why I wanted to meet and said, how can we lower this so that those people, they don't have to move, because we have a project that is going to offer just a few apartments, a few units that they are affordable, real affordable, and then the rest it's go all the way above their head. That's why we have an ordinance that was passed that limits the maximum that they can charge. And I just want them to comply with that.
Okay. But I know that on the Father Marquise Berry project, I think they have, we didn't build a lot of units. It's a very small project, but I know that it's about 12 units, Commissioner Watson, you worked out? 12 or 15 units for that project. And guess how much the rent is?
Yeah, this is I don't know what they did. Yeah.
$434.
I've never heard that. I'm not so sure what they did differently, but it's the only one that speaks to, and we have a difference in the whole affordability
but it was $434.
$400 units.
Yes, but I want to know how many, but I don't want them to go over the maximum of 100, because I'd be voting against my ordinance.
I know. I mean, the only problem, though, Commissioner, is that we want to have the $400 units, but we also want to make sure we keep an opportunity for people who are rising in the workforce to be close to where they are, because that whole moving people to homestead thing is old, and they spend 4 hours, 5 hours in traffic, and our public transportation is not great. I don't care what anybody say.
That does not preclude people that can afford that to believe that. You see, they can pay the maximum, and then $200 less a month per unit. You see, it is a tremendous help to those people that the AMI is at $60,000 a year. I mean, how many $60,000 residents? I mean, salaries do we have in our area?
Yeah, no, you're right, but
you see,
but
if you make it, and if you want to move there, and you can pay, I mean, the maximum will be $1,600. That's fine, but I want people that are making $60,000. You see, to be, I mean, that will be the maximum, because if you do 110, you are raising the salary to $66,000 per year. You see, families with making $66,000 per year. Doesn't mean that the people that are making less than that, they will not be able to rent it. Yes, but they will be rent burdened, and that's what I don't want. I don't want people to be rent burdened. I want to follow HUD's instruction, which is 33% of your salary should go to housing. No more than that, because if not, you're going to be rent burdened. And by you being rent burdened, you are hurting the rest of the economy, because it's less money that you have to go and buy dinner or buy food or buy clothing. You understand?
Yeah, but I was only speaking to the fact that they're the only ones I've ever seen have rates as low as you have called for.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. I mean, and that's why I want to meet with them. And I express my same concern to the Reverend here. You see, I mean, it's not that I'm nitpicking. No, I am consistent.
I know you are. I worked on the Liberty Square project.
Yeah.
With Mr. Albert Milo. So yes, I was just saying that with HTG, with the affordable housing piece, which that is HUD, the HUD units are going to stay the same, but they have 1 bedrooms that comes in at $434. And when I was looking through it, because I work with a lot of the seniors in the Overtown community, and I'm like, oh, this one is only $400.
But how many 400 units?
15. But I think
15. But let's sit down and talk. But I don't want.
That's only Father Marquise.
Okay.
And that's like 68 units.
Listen, I believe that being at 100 AMI, it is fine because given the AMI of those areas, for example, Liberty City is over around $18,000.
Correct.
See, Little Havana, it's not even $20,000. You see, those people are going to be rent burdened. And if we as a governmental unit, we are we are engaging in affordable housing and helping people, these developers, and give them benefits in order for them to develop. We want something in return.
Correct.
Okay, and that's my only concern. I don't want once those buildings are built that people that live in that area cannot afford it.
Correct.
And that goes for Liberty City, Little Havana,
Everywhere.
Town, everywhere. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak at public comment on any of the remaining items on the agenda? Seeing no one else, I will close public comment. Commissioners, are there any pocket items you'd like to add for consideration today?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead. PI1, what is your pocket item, Commissioner?
In reference to the naming of Dr. MLK Boulevard, Northwest 62nd Street, a cultural corridor. And so this has allowed the staff to begin the process of moving through that process for that designation.
Thank you. Cultural Court?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's PI1, resolution of the Miami City Commission directing the city manager to take any and all necessary steps to begin the process of designating Martin Luther King Boulevard, Northwest 62nd Street as a cultural corridor. And to report back to the commission in 60 days. I got 2 copies, Commissioner, if you need it. Are there any other pocket items any commissioners would like to bring up today?
I have a pocket item directing the city manager to add 3 sergeant at arms to the city commission.
That'll be PI2, direction to the manager to add 3 sergeants at arms to the staff.
Of the city commission.
Of the city commission. Are there any other pocket items that any commissioners would like to add? All right. Commissioner Correa, any pocket items from your office? Thank you. All right, I'd like to move to the agenda. Gentlemen, with your indulgence, I'd like to ask for a motion on RE12. This was been on the last couple agendas and it's fallen off at the end of the day. So I'd like to take this one up for discussion early today so we can...
There's a motion to bring it up early. Then.
Motion by Commissioner Carollo, seconded by the chair. RE12 is now open for discussion. For my part, I want to see this have a chance to get to the voters, to hear from them on whether or not the current leaseholder at the marina on Virginia Key should have their lease extended. That would be in the hands of the voters, but in order for it to get there, this item would have to pass directing the attorney to prepare an amendment to the charter, a ballot question, so that we can vote on that later this month if it is to be placed on the ballot. Just want to gauge support from this commission to see if I've got support on this item.
I am going to be very honest. I had, since day one, and you know that I'm very consistent, I voted to throw away what we had before in order to, and the directive to the city manager was to take over it and start an RFP process. An RFP process. You see, I'm very consistent on RFPs because that is the only way that we can get the best deal, in my opinion. And I was advocating for an RFP and also I stated that that RFP should be evaluated by professionals, professional marina managers or experts, instead of people that they don't know anything about marinas. And that RFP should be final. That whoever wins, wins. But we should have, we shall give the opportunity to the city to do it. And I think that shows transparency, and which that's what we want, and I've been trying. It was my same position with Maurice. It's going to be my same position with everything. You see, I am, and you know that I am very consistent in the way I am, and I mean, they can present, and anybody can present. They can present an unsolicited proposal, and that unsolicited proposal will trigger an RFP process. And let's do it. Let's do it. That is my position, sir. And as much as I like, I'm favorable to getting this thing done once and for all. I think that we should do it the right way. The right way, and once and for all. You see, whoever wins, wins. And by now, I think that all participants, they should have enough experience to present the city with a proposal that it will be, it will be outstanding, and it will be picked by those experts, you see? And that is my position.
Thank you,
and
Commissioner.
it was my position before, and that's the way I think. I mean, I will move, if you want, I will move that to start, direct the city manager to start an RFP right away, you see?
Thank you, Commissioner. So I will recognize you in just a moment. But just to respond, I understand, and I do respect the need for transparency is paramount, always. I do believe we've had a transparent process on this twice, and you can understand my frustration that as I come to the end of an 8-year term, we cannot award a simple marina project. I believe the current tenant has been a good steward. I believe their plan is good. I believe we have the financial numbers in front of us based on the 2 RFPs that failed. And no offense to the current administration, but the administration has failed to give us an RFP that we can award. We've thrown it out twice, so I'm willing to take it to the voters. But I do understand and respect your position.
But sir, with all due respect, Commissioner, with all due respect, I am not too fond of the 4/5. The 4/5 is a subterfuge to avoid RFPs.
Or a last resort.
No, the last resort, if there is only one, I will go for it. But when we know that we can go to an RFP and compete, you see, I am a capitalist. I believe in free enterprise. And what makes free enterprise so great and so beneficial, it is competition. And I think that the only way that we can get the best deal is by going to our RFP and allow competition. That's my position. I'm sorry. I have friends that are in, part of this, that are part of this marina, but that's the way I am, and I'm Manolo, I'm not going to change my
Thank you, Commissioner.
my ways.
Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with Commissioner Reyes. But as a matter of fact, Commissioner Reyes, we do in fact have an unsolicited proposal on this marina that was submitted this morning. And this is an idea, this is the things that happens when competition exists. And I think the city manager can walk us through that unsolicited proposal that was presented to him this morning. And you'll have an idea, commissioners, on what a much better deal we can get if we go through an RFP process, actually. You'll see the difference in money that this city can generate in dollars. You'll see what they're willing to do in capital improvements. You'll see of a national company that can come in here and actually build us the world-class marine I've been talking about for a long, long time. Mr. Manager, can you walk us through that unsolicited proposal?
You recognize, Mr. Manager.
If through the chair, of course.
Excuse me if I may.
Just a moment, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Manager, when did you receive that unsolicited proposal?
It came in this morning.
This morning. And you're able to walk us through it when it came in this morning, and you've been busy preparing for this meeting?
No, it's a one-page proposal, and it basically took the terms in the agenda item and just increased the numbers for each of the line items. It's not very complicated.
Okay, a one-page proposal, okay.
Yeah, I think the city attorney shared it with each of you, so I can certainly read it to you.
No, I haven't seen
anything.
anything.
It's not complicated.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, it's
But
not.
that doesn't surprise me.
No, that surprises
I
me.
haven't even gotten the appraisal for one property that one of your offices had for a couple of weeks already. Not to do with this project, by the way.
But let me ask you something, and I want to be clear on this. Yeah, is it legal just the day that we are supposed to argue this, to present a proposal in the morning? The day that we arguing this? That's something that I want to ask the city. It's not that I don't know when the hell I presented that proposal. I don't know. And it surprises me too. But I want to know if it is legal, because I want this to be crystal clear. You see, that when I mentioned an unsolicited proposal, I was thinking about the marina, you see, for them to present a proposal, and then if nobody else comes in, then they will be the only ones. But if somebody comes in, then we have an RFP, and that triggers an RFP. That's the way that I was presented. You see, I mean, I wasn't telling anybody come and do it.
Yeah, we have not reviewed the proposal. We just got it. So,
What, one-page proposal? You see?
Yeah, so for us, it would just be really rereading the memo that we received.
Can you do that? Because we haven't. Commissioner Diaz-Labortia is asking for that, and we're not familiar with this proposal.
My understanding is, Mr. Manager, it was delivered to every commissioner's office, but it was last minute, so. I think he asked, I think, because I hadn't finished my line of questioning. He asked him just read it, so the whole commission has it, obviously. And then I have a couple of questions of our city attorney, also, after you finish, Mr. Manager. And probably some follow-up questions to you, Mr. Manager.
I hadn't received it as of the start of this meeting, so I don't know when it came in, what time. Go ahead, Mr. Manager, you're recognized.
For the record, my staff has informed me that we received it in my office after 10 a.m. this morning.
Yes.
So I don't think anyone would have expected me to have been able to read it while I'm sitting up here in the dais.
I just received mine right now. I haven't been able to read it.
Now, the proposal is for what exactly, Mr. Manager? What marina, what?
I'll read it verbatim. I mean, it's an unsolicited bid. Virginia Key Marina is the title. This letter shall serve as an unsolicited bid by Suntex Marina Investors, LLC, for the redevelopment lease occupancy in the form of a ground lease and matter development agreement acceptable to the city of the marinas located on Virginia Key, namely City Marina and Rickenbacker Marina, collectively referred to as Virginia Key Marina, comprising approximately 27 acres. Suntex Marine Investors is one of the largest owners, operators of marine development companies in the U.S. And the world, with over $1.2 billion of mixed-use waterfront assets and over 1,000 employees. Currently, Suntex has 6 marinas in the state of Florida, 2 in Dade County, 1 in the city of Miami. We have a large presence in the city and employ over 100 people in the city of Miami directly and numerous more indirectly. We employ over 400 in the state of Florida with 150 in Dade County. Let me get to the meat of the proposal here. The lessee would be Suntex Marina Investors, LLC. The property, again, as stated before, would be Rickenbacker Marina, City Marinas, the lessor, City of Miami. Lease parameters to design, develop, construct a new world-class mixed-use marina facility with dry slips, wet slips, restaurant, retail, ship store, fuel, and other recreational and marine-related activities. Such design to comply with the Virginia Key Master Plan and include new resiliency standards, public promenades, open green space, and be both environmentally and ecologically friendly, incorporating green elements wherever possible. The minimum capital commitment is $100 million, or whatever would be required to create a world-class marine facility. Lease term, 45-year initial term with 2 15-year renewals, 75 years total. Lease compensation would be the greater of the below terms or fair market values determined by 2 independent appraisals. Base rent says $2.75 because there's no zeros after it. So 2.75, I'm assuming that's millions, but doesn't say that. Commencing in year 1 with annual increases tied to CPI or a fixed rate acceptable to the city. Percentage rent shall be paid to the city along the following formulas. Slip license and lease income, dry or wet, 77% of revenues. Fuel sale income, 7% of revenues. Sublease income, upland tenant, 7% of revenues. And internal operation and other ancillary income, 5% of revenues.
Mr. Manager, I'm confused. Is this for the Dinner Key Marina or for Virginia Key?
Virginia Key.
And this is the Suntex Marina Group?
Yes.
Which was, they lobbied me about a week and a half ago about Dinner Key Marina. So that's what, if there's an unsolicited proposal, I'm assuming they're pitching on Dinner Key Marina.
No, this
Mr.
is
Chair,
specific.
I had the same experience.
No, this is specifically says, right, the marina is located on Virginia Key, namely City Marina and Rickenbacker Marina. And that's the marina we operate in, the Rickenbacker Marina.
And this is part of why we have not been able to move forward on this item for years, 6 years, 7 years now. Because the Marina games continue. This is clearly a game that we're all somehow getting dragged into.
This is not a game.
It's more than a game,
No,
Chair.
it's not a game.
Well, they were the winning bidder that got thrown out.
But they were the winning bidder. They were not thrown out.
If
You
I
threw them
could,
out. The commission threw them out.
RFP
They
was
won twice.
Okay, Chair,
You're recognized.
And then I want to be
ask the
recognized.
clerk to get something for the record, because I think it's important that we get this aspect into the record so that we could be reminded, because I don't think any of us, or if not, certainly a vast majority of us, were not around for the first RFP, nor for the second RFP. Mr. Clerk, when that this commission issued the first RFP, the date?
I will have to review the historical record and get that information back to you.
Do you remember the year at least?
No, sir.
I believe it was 2015.
I'm sorry, I do not remember the year.
If I recall correctly, because I was elected in November of 2015 and I walked in on this one, the first round.
Okay,
And so it must have been 2015.
We're looking at approximately 7 years, so it seems. I'd like for you to confirm it and get back to us. It's been so long ago that the clerk can't even remember the date. We've been kicking this can around for all this time, and from what I've been able to assess, the first request for proposal, there were only 3 bidders. It got thrown out for numerous reasons, but I'm not going to venture to go into why, but it got thrown out. Then we went to a second request for proposal. 2 of the original 3 bidders joined, so you only had 2 bidders at the time. And this commission took a stand on not accepting those bids for many, many reasons. I'm not going to get here today and get into another tug of war on this issue. We could discuss it and we could vote it up or down. If need be, I will get into any game, tug of war, whatever you want to call it, for the next meeting. And I'm sure that if someone does that, videos would say 1,000,000 words and pictures 1,000 words. So I, Chair, would be willing to discuss this for a reasonable amount of time. We should all get equal time. We should give parties the opportunity to discuss it, but if there's ever been a sign of shenanigans, is Suntex Marina knew this had been presented. For them to come this morning with another way of thinking that they could somehow derail this, this is not amusing. And I, like two of you that have spoken, was also lobbied for Dinner Key Marina. And in fact, what I was told was that they wanted Dinner Key Marina to go at the same time on the ballot as Virginia Key Marina, and that Suntex wanted to bid on Dinner Key Marina. They would not oppose or get involved in bidding in Virginia Key Marina, but they had to go at the same time on the ballot on Dinner Key Marina. Now, let me explain the difference between one and the other. I'm open-minded on putting Dinner Key Marina, maybe at some time in the future, for a request for proposal. In fact, I'm open-minded even to put Miami Marina by Bayside to a request for proposal sometime in the future. The difference between Virginia Key and these others is Virginia Key has been vetted every which way you want to look at it. We paid substantial amount of dollars for professional experts to come in, analyze it, have told the city how much we should expect in rent from there, what would be a fair amount. And this has been looked inside out. Whereas the other marinas, you just can't come in and decide that you want it on the ballot when we haven't gone through that same process in doing it. Now, furthermore, we could be playing this game forever, that these individuals can come up now. When I say the individuals, I'm talking about the individuals that are running Virginia Key Marina now, and they could say that, well, we want to put in the ballot X amount of dollars instead of the ones that they have. And Suntex would come the next day, or they could put a proxy of another name and say, we'll put another dollar above that. And this could be going back and forth. And the bottom line is that at the end of the day, the voters of Miami will be the ones that can approve or not something that has been vetted, that at least the approximate amount that they're offering makes reasonable sense based upon what we have been given by experts. That's not to say that if it is approved by voters, that that's what the deal is going to be. And this commission would have the responsibility and the ability to demand more if they so think it's the correct way to go. Like the project at Freedom Park. It went to the ballot where it said that they would pay no less than X amount, but that's why it's been in negotiations, because this commission has the ability to demand more, and that's the process that's been followed. Now,
Okay.
The part that, to me, is clear as daylight, that the more that this keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and it will, unless one party feels that they could finally get this marina and then get the rest of the marinas in the city, we're losing an investment upwards of $100 million. I think it's $113, $115 million. That is part of the commitment that we have in that marina. That would make all the difference in the world in that marina. And the city of Miami does not have that kind of money to invest there. So this is what I'm looking forward to move forward. And I'm not going to be here today where this is going to be filibuster, and we're going to be discussing it and discussing it and discussing it, trying to see how time runs out. There should be a fair amount of discussion where minutes are given to each member of this commission, to the parties that are here before us, and then we should vote up or down. And
that's right.
Let the will of the commission go forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I've got two commissioners waiting to speak, but I'd just like to remind, the item on the floor that's been moved and seconded does not necessarily affect that end decision. This is just directing the attorney to prepare a question, which will come back to us for final decision at the end of this month. So that's my ask. And it sounds like, Commissioner Watson, you're going to be the swing vote on this issue, because it sounds like we got 2 yays and 2 nays to move forward with the preparation of the
Hold your horses.
But just reading the temperature.
Yeah.
Hold your
I
horses.
will recognize.
I just want a point of clarification.
Am I making assumptions?
I just want a point of clarification.
No, of course, and you're both going to be very recognized to speak. So
Okay.
first, Commissioner Diaz-Lebortia, and then Commissioner
Well,
Reyes.
go ahead and recognize Commissioner
Go ahead,
Reyes.
Commissioner Reyes, go ahead.
And what he-
Thank you, sir. I know you defer to I mean,
Age before beauty, right, Commissioner?
yeah, and I know that. I too, I was lobbying, and as a matter of fact, I don't know, Commissioner Russell, if you were shown a presentation about all the marinas and that beautiful marinas around the world, and particularly in Spain and all of that. But it was not for this marina. It was not for Virginia Key Marina. It was for Dinner Key Marina. It was to bring Dinner Key Marina also to the voters and to do the same thing that you're trying to do, bring it to the voters, and now a 4/5. And if they decide, and a 4/5 will decide the final outcome of the voters' decision. I mean, if they decide that we should go ahead. And I stated very clearly my position. And I said, if you want to bid for Dinner Key Marina, you may as well, let's go into, and I said it, I said it, if you present an unsolicited proposal, because that is the procedure, you will open an RFP process. But I will not vote in favor of placing your request, your proposal, in the ballot or anybody else's. I want an RFP. And that's what we said. I said, and I told them, now I get this, and it is this unsolicited proposal. It is not for Dinner Key Marina. It is for Virginia Key Marina, which is, I mean, in my opinion, and in a little way, irks me and pisses me off a little bit, okay? And I'm going to ask the city manager, Mr. City Manager, how fast can we get an RFP, and how fast can we analyze it, and how fast can, and you can bring the decision to the commission and let the cards fall wherever it is. I mean, let the chips fall whatever it is. Whoever wins, wins. And we will be voting on the winner. I commit myself to voting whoever wins the RFP. Whoever is chosen, I will vote for it. And I know that both of them are going to have a real good presentation, and then they're going to give us the investment. And they're going to present $130 or $150 million investment in that marina, and a lot of benefits for the city of Miami if they are competing.
So, Mr. Manager, if you...
But this surprised me. This surprised me because I wasn't lobbying for the Virginia Key. I was lobbying for Virginia Key. I mean, I don't agree with those changes and all of that, man. And do we have to accept this?
Mr. Chairman.
You're recognized.
Just so the commission is aware, Chapter 18 of the City Code has language as far as how to process an unsolicited proposal. When it comes in, the administration needs to first, if it's going to be entertained, place it as a discussion item before the City Commission, for the City Commission to consider if this is something they want to consider. If they do, then the administration needs to issue an RFP, which shall be for no less than 21 days and no longer than 120 days. That is if you want to consider the unsolicited proposal. If you do not want to consider the unsolicited proposal, you don't consider it, and you move on.
Thank you. So that discussion item would come at the next city commission meeting, is that correct?
Assuming that is the next available commission meeting that the administration would be ready for, yes.
Which could coincide with
Right,
potential ballot language. Hello.
but if I may
Good
add-
morning, Madam City Attorney.
I'll be recognized at some point, but let the city attorney say what she needs to say.
Madam City Attorney, you're recognized.
Thank you. If I may add, this is only if the administration is interested in dealing with this unsolicited proposal, then they place on the agenda. So it has to meet two hurdles before it gets to you. It doesn't necessarily have to get to you either.
Thank you very much. Commissioner, you're recognized.
The whole idea, and I'm going to give a little history of what's happened with Suntex and with Mr. Mawani's marina.
Make sure you don't leave anything out.
I won't.
Thank you.
That's my turn now, Commissioner. You had your opportunity. I was also lobbied, and I have met with both Mr. Filler and Mr. Mawani numerous times. And those conversations the last 6 months or so, or more maybe, were about building in Miami a number of world-class marinas. And Suntex has been very, very interested in building a world-class marina, and after those conversations went nowhere, they bought the lease at Monty's. And what they want to do is they want to bring to Miami all the capital, their history, a long history of investment, a solid financial backing to build a world-class marina anywhere in Miami that has not been built in decades. So this unsolicited proposal, and I'm glad that they met with all of you, because they're interested in investing in Miami. They have, the unsolicited proposal also has where their capital is going to come from, who their investors are, what they want to do, and the unsolicited proposal also has better terms. Better terms. So Commissioner Correa is correct. We can go back and forth, but Commissioner Reyes' solution is the obvious solution. That's why we have an RFP process. Because as Commissioner Reyes said, the foundation of capitalism is competition. But if you come with a resolution before this commission where you offer one actor only with bad terms, when Miami can get better terms, and we know it. You know how we know we can get better terms? Because our own city administration told us. We had a special meeting on this. And they told us that it was $4.1 million in base rent. $4.1 million. What's being offered in your resolution, Commissioner Russell, is $2.5 million. And Suntex is offering us a better deal. Who's going to walk away from a better deal? You want Miami to make less money, less in base rent, less in retail percentage? That makes no sense. That's why we have an RFP process. We don't pass that. We don't put any item on a referendum that it gives worse terms to our taxpayers, where our taxpayers can be making more money for our city. It does not make sense. What we should do is let the administration decide what they want to do with the unsolicited proposal, but go to an RFP process, Commissioner Reyes said. Let them do it in 21 days, an expedited manner. Let them come before us and say, this is what we think we can get. This is what, put out the RFP. Let's get the responses to the RFP. And we're going to get a better deal from Miami. We shouldn't be playing favorites here. We shouldn't be picking one over the other. And Commissioner Russell, that's what you're doing. You're picking one vendor. And you're saying, that's the one I want for the next 75 years. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, do an RFP, let them compete, may the best man win. That's what makes sense. But to vote for a proposal that you're putting forward that gives Miami less in base rent, less in percentage of retail, less of everything, no real commitment in your proposal of any capital investment. This one has $100 million, a minimum of $100 million, a minimum of $100 million. That's real money on the table. This proposal doesn't talk about how much money you have to spend. Yes, you're saying they're going to spend $113 million. Guess what? They haven't done it yet. In how many decades? They haven't done it yet. I have nothing against the current Mr. Mawani, but he has been through a competitive process. I wasn't here. None of us were. 2 competitive processes. See, let's do one in an expedited manner, that we're here now, we're all here, that we can make a decision quickly before you leave, Commissioner Russell, and let's do what Commissioner Reyes says, which is, let's create competition, a fair process where 3, 4, 5, 6 people can compete for it, or 2, and we get a better deal for taxpayers and a better deal for Miamians, and that's what we're here to do.
Thank you for your comments. If there's no further comments, I'll call the question on the item. We have a motion and a second, correct, Mr. Clerk?
Okay.
Just brief.
Yeah.
First of all, on the statement that they haven't spent $100+ million yet, and they've been there. Well, how can someone spend $100+ million? Who's going to finance that if they don't have a lease extension? I mean, that's laughable to bring that one up. Secondly of all, don't matter if now the game is being played to try to stop this, to delay it at the last moment, that they offer a little more. Any one of these offerings are going to have to pay more than they're offering. And let me explain why. Because that's the minimum guarantee rent. But once you have this kind of investment there, that's going to generate a lot more money than the amounts that are being offered. So we're going to receive much more than that, so that the residents of Miami are going to get less money. That's a lot of hogwash, too. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to further extend it. And let's bring it to a vote on the motion this year and then on the next.
Well, I want to respond to that.
You're recognized.
The only game that's being played is favoring one vendor and not allowing competition. That's the only game being played here. And not allowing a competitive process to take place.
We've had
the it's not a debate. You already have the floor. It's my turn.
No,
the only game, and what's laughable is that we're trying to hoodwink our voters by giving them one option. So it's not a choice. We're giving them one option. Why not allow the choice? If the current vendor is going to do so much and do more than the other vendor, then let them win the RFP. But they haven't won an RFP. They've lost 2. And they've lost bid protest 2. And they've lost in court 2. And if they're going to win, let's do an RFP. But we weren't here. So let's throw all that out. And I wasn't here. But I'm here now. And I will not fool my voters and the voters of the city of Miami, and the taxpayers of the city of Miami, by pretending that by offering only one option, we're giving them a choice. It's only one choice. That's not an option. That's what happens, and that's what they did in the Soviet Union. You have one candidate. Let's do an RFP. Let's compete. let them compete, may the best man win. But to do something, and by the way, the 100 million is more. Suntex has a proven history of building world-class marinas, What we have today at Rickenbacker, at Dinner Key, at any of our marinas, not one of them is a world-class marina. Not one of them. And by the way, they won't invest $100 million because they say they've been on uncertain ground. They've been there for how many decades? How many decades? And it's still the same thing that it was when I was a kid. Come on. Let's not fool voters. What's laughable is what's happening today, a proposal that only gives one choice to voters, one choice to favor one particular vendor, and that's all this is.
I'll respond.
Everybody can see right through it. It's one choice.
I'll respond to that, Commissioner. You're wrong, and you're wrong for a couple reasons. The numbers are a sham, because if the competitive process would yield the maximum rent to us, that competitive process has been completed twice, and this particular unsolicited proposal this morning was involved in that competitive process, and they did not offer $3 million, $4 million, or whatever the city believes that property is worth.
They won.
Excuse me, sir. The competitive process yielded exactly what this proposal is offering. Furthermore, the unsolicited proposal we're receiving this morning was a party to both of those RFPs that got thrown out. And their partnership team included the perpetrator of the Biscayne Bay's greatest environmental crime and disaster in its history. And that's a big reason that it was thrown out. That was their choice to partner with that group and that make that their proposal
They're no longer
team.
part of that
Please,
group, and
Commissioner.
you know that.
Please, Commissioner. This process has been exhausted. There is no, if we did another RFP, it'll be the same 2 or 3 that bid once again, and round and round we go with the games. So my proposal is to take it to the voters with the existing tenant, who I believe is a good steward of that property and has proven themselves. So it's the will of this commission whether or not the attorney should even draft that question. That's all that's before us today. And if a discussion item does come next, at the end of this month, with this question, that's when we can take that up. So my vote, my ask for a vote today is simply on whether or not the attorney should draft a question. So if there's anything else to debate on the issue, we can, but I think we're exhausting the issue. And so I'd like to bring this to a head. So is there any further discussion before we vote? Yes, Commissioner.
The vote that we have.
Yes.
Let's get the clerk to go over the resolution again, make sure we're clear, because we're not voting on the item that you have first. We have another item.
Yes, sir. The resolution you should be voting on is simply directing the city attorney to draft the ballot question, which we
but
brought back at a
Was there a
future.
motion then?
Yes.
Another resolution
Nope,
before?
no
There
other
wasn't,
resolution.
Okay. All right, so ours, this resolution is first, the resolution that I made a motion on, and Commissioner Russell seconded.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Want to be sure.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
So there's been a motion, there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote on item RE12. Commissioner Reyes? Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla?
No.
Commissioner Carroyo?
Yes.
Chair Russell?
Yes.
The motion passes 3-2.
Thank you very much. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman?
All right. Yes.
I just want a point of clarification, sir.
Just a moment. The attorney has a clarification point.
That's
before you-
coming back on July 22nd, correct? The question?
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
please. Commissioner Reyes, you're recognized?
Yes, I want everybody to know that I do agree with that the voters should decide in certain areas when there is, when the process has been followed.
Yes, sir.
And as I stated during the discussions with, and I don't call it Freedom Park because I think that that name was used as a bait to people that's all freedom talk, we're freedom this, okay? And Mayor Reese, I was totally opposed to granting the park to that group just by a referendum because there was no competition, you see? I believe that certain things have to come, changing codes, changing when you don't have any alternative, you bring it to the voters and the voters decide. But that is my position. I have nothing against any of the players, and I have, as a matter of fact, that if I were to follow my feelings, I would have voted with you. But I wanted to be consistent.
You have been consistent.
That's what I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The only thing that I think we could all be in agreement on, that no one is calling this the Freedom Marina. So.
Thank you. I'd like to break for lunch until 3 o'clock. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. We
All
have
right.
a time certain item at 3.
Yes, yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Freedom Park.
We're in recess until 3.